Hola guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Roxanne. If it's your first time here, then welcome. Today I want to do a the dilemmas of a book nerd tag. I saw this done by Russell over at Ink and Paper blog, and the original creator was Lindsay at Lindsay's Little Library, so I'll share that information down below. And let's get right into it. So the first question is storage. How do you store and organize your books? So I have two of these tall bookshelves, which you'll see there and at the end, and then I have one shorter bookshelf that's in the middle, and then I have this little cart right here. And the way that I organize them is in the tall shelves are my unread books. So one has my fiction unread books. It kind of bleeds in a little bit into the second one, and then the second one has all of my nonfiction books, and those are split between read and unread nonfiction. Also a little special shelf in this tall one are all my Pride and Prejudice books, which you guys know that I collect Pride and Prejudice. So then in the middle are, in the very top of the bookshelf, are my unread Latinx books. Then the first row of books in this bookshelf are my read series, and then in the second row are my read standalones. In the closet I have all my mass markets and my graphic novels and comic books, and I think like one manga book that I have. This cart right here has what I plan to read somewhat soon, or what I have just read or just hauled and have to talk about in a video. So this is things that I am still kind of working with. Either I'm gonna read them soon, or I have to work with them for a video. They go in this cart right here. So that's kind of how those are all split. Somehow I make it work. But yeah, and then the short shelf that I have are all double stacked. So there's books in the front and in the back in order for me to be able to fit everything. Number 2, tracking. How do you keep track of what books you read and what books you own? So I use Goodreads for that. I have used it since 2011, I believe. And what I do is when I purchase books, I add them to a shelf that I have called To Be Read on my shelf, and that's how I know that I physically own it. And then that's also how I keep track of what I'm currently reading and what I've read on any given year. Number 3, do you lend your books out? No, I do not. I used to many years ago, and I would either never get them back or get them back in really bad condition. So I do not lend my books out. Buying. How do you buy or acquire your books? So I get them either at Barnes & Noble, independent bookstores, or if I'm going to shop online, then I'll shop at either A-Books or Book Depository. I try to steer clear of Amazon. I haven't bought a book on Amazon, I don't think, since I started working at a bookstore. Anytime I go into an independent bookstore, I try to at least buy one book so that I can support them. And then yeah, I also buy a lot from Barnes & Noble. Number 5, how do you respond to "how do you read so much" and other similar comments? Audiobooks have been my lifesaver when it comes to keeping up my number of reads, and also significantly increasing the amount of books that I can read in a year. Ever since I found out about audiobooks about 3 years ago, I want to say I started listening to audiobooks. It has been the way that I consume so many of my books. Whenever I am in the car driving, I'm probably listening to an audiobook. If I'm doing things around the house, I'm probably listening to an audiobook, like if I'm cooking or anything like that. And yeah, that's how I listen to them. And I will not listen to an audiobook at any less than 1.5 speed. It is just too slow for me, and it becomes then just boring because they're just so slow for me. Other than that, I it's probably that I don't read too many long books, which isn't a conscious decision that I make, but yeah, it also makes it so that I can read a lot of books. Like I read a lot of cozy murder mysteries. Those are really short because they're mass markets and they're like 213 to like 250 pages, you know. So and 213 is very specific, like 200 to like 250 pages. So those are really, really quick reads. But yeah, mostly audiobooks is how I get through so many books. Next book. How do you choose your next book? I am very much a mood reader. So it just really depends on what I'm in the mood for. Really, more so than seasonally, because seasonally I mostly focus on like fall and winter are the most sort of seasonal reading type of moods that I get into. But other than that, it's just whatever I'm in the mood for. So am I in the mood for a mystery? Am I in the mood for something lighthearted? If so, then I'll usually pick up a cozy murder mystery. And am I in the mood for a more serious mystery? Then I'll pick up something like that. If I need a sort of palate cleanser, maybe I'll pick up a graphic novel or something like that. So it's really what I'm in the mood for. I used to do book challenges, and I think I actually had one at the beginning of this year, but I haven't really kept up with them since like the very first year I made one, which was I think the only time I've been successful at it. So yeah, it's not really like I have many sort of projects to follow. There are a few things that I want to try out in the next year for the channel, but other than that, yeah, it's just really what I'm in the mood for. Travel. How do you pick which books to bring on vacation with you? So I usually tend to pick lighter books, but I will bring more books than I probably have time for, just in the off chance that I end up finishing. I don't want to be left sort of without a book to read, which is really also where things like audiobooks come in really handy, because you sort of never run out of books, you know, especially if you have something like Scribd or Libby and you have a lot of holds or a lot of books borrowed. You're always going to have something with you. But even though I know that I always have the audiobooks on my phone, I will always bring a physical book with me, and that will usually be like a mass market of some kind or just a thin book. Number 8, annotate. Do you write in or mark up your books in any way? Only textbooks or like heavy history nonfiction that I might read. So if I pick up, say, a book on like a history book on Puerto Rico or something like that, I'll probably annotate it or underline or something like that. Or a heavy nonfiction read that I'm getting a lot of information and a lot of facts. So like the new Jim Crow is highlighted and has tabs in it and things like that. Other than that, the only ones that I might do that for are in textbooks. I don't write in or annotate or mark up or ear or dog ear or anything like that the rest of my books. Number 9. New or backlist, which do you prefer? I tend to prefer to read backlist just because there's so many books that I already know. Like I know very well that I want to read it and that I'm gonna like it, because I've heard they've been around long enough to get enough reviews and enough sort of reputation behind them for me to be able to decipher one way or the other whether I'm gonna like it. I have read, I think, more frontlist books this year than ever, and it's just because I've been working at the store. So I'm also aware of a lot of new books than I ever was before. Before I started working at the bookstore, I couldn't really even make up like a most anticipated reads of books of next year videos, because I didn't know what was coming out. I had to do like a lot of research for them, but now I know a lot of books coming out. So that's made it so that I read more frontlist than ever, but I usually tend to prefer backlist more than anything. Sequels. Do you read books as they are released, or do you wait for an entire series to be released? I think this depends on how I come into the series. If I happen to read a book that happens to be the first of the series, and I really enjoy it, then I obviously will read it as the books are released. I won't, if there's a series I'm excited about, I'm not gonna wait until it ends for me to pick it up. I mean, if it happens, it's not done on purpose. It's just that I haven't been able to get to it. But I won't purposefully wait for a series to be fully published before I dive into it. If I'm interested enough, I'll just pick it up and start reading, and then just suffer with everybody else. But I think that was the very last question. So this was really fun to do. If you enjoyed it yourself and would like to participate also, then feel free, feel tagged. I think that it asked some interesting questions that I don't always get to talk about. So yeah. As always, thank you for watching and for listening. I love you guys very much.